What we got here. Howdy, folks. It's me, Brian.
And it's me, Amber, as well.
How you all doing today?
Do you want to do a poll?
Oh yeah, I guess we can do a poll. What is our poll? We should take a poll on what poll we should do.
I was just thinking, what's your favorite weather?
What is your favorite weather? So we'll go ahead and we'll get that poll going. Start a poll. What is your favorite weather?
You can have like sunny, rainy,
Sunny, rainy,
snowy.
snowy. No one wants snow.
No one wants snow. I'm sure someone does, and cloudy.
And cloudy or other?
Or other. Yeah, we should do other.
Yeah, all right, we'll do that. We'll start a poll here. We'll let you figure out what kind of weather you like, and we'll get started from there. How's that sound? So, one thing that I need to do real quick is find that window so that I can move it over here. Welcome, one, welcome all to our live stream and ball. There's not really a ball here, but I mean, if you want, I can go find a ball and we can bounce it. And so far, other is the majority of people's favorite weather. So let's get started. We got a great show for you, a lot of great stories, and we'll see how that works. Oh, that's all right. Welcome, Marcia. Thanks for joining us today. All right. And our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Pranking My Fiancé Because I Don't Want to Live in the Apartment That She Chose? So, a bit of backstory before I begin. I am together with my fiancé for about 6 months and engaged for the past few weeks now. It's been a quick relationship, but we are both religious and we believe in marriage and are happy with each other. I'm a 28-year-old male and she's a 27-year-old female. After we get married, we obviously plan on living together. We have been looking into apartments in the local area so that we can stay close to her family and my family, but also have a separate place. We are looking in places about 20 minutes away, maximum from either family, so that we can still be close to both of them, but not so close to where we will have unexpected guests coming over randomly. Well, we narrowed it down to 3 potential places. 2 of the places that I really like, and 1 I really hate. Aside from the fact that the last apartment didn't have a central HVAC and works on radiator, but also is super of an old building, without normal amenities or even in a unit or on property laundry, so no laundry. We would need to use a laundromat about 2 blocks away. The biggest issue is commuting for work. The first 2 places put both of us in a position where we would be commuting to work around 15 to 20 minutes in sort of the middle of our 2 jobs, as the third apartment is far east and would make her commute closer to 15 minutes and 15 minutes walking, and mine about an hour every day. Well, my fiance really wants this apartment because she is a big architect nerd, and this apartment is one of the original buildings in Chicago with the original architecture from the 1800s. I've communicated to her that the cost of living to the downtown area increases rent and cost of living, and also makes life harder dealing with the early morning and late afternoon traffic, turning commutes into double the time. Well, she was dead set on the apartment, even though the other ones were newer, more spacious, and had more amenities and are cheaper. She decided that we should do a walkthrough one more time with her brother, who is a civil engineer, and could tell if anything was wrong with the place. I continuously told her that we shouldn't look at that apartment, but she was so adamant, so I agreed to another viewing so that I could prank her. Well, for the record, my fiance absolutely hates anything remotely scary. She can't watch horror movies and is sometimes scared of Halloween decorations on the suburban streets. I printed out some articles that I found about the place that stated that the building was haunted. You can find an article for almost every building in the downtown Chicago area, that even though it wasn't the unit that we were looking at, a person had committed suicide in the building, and people have complained hearing ghostly sounds and found things missing from their apartment houses before. Well, before we got to the apartment, I texted her that I was going to be late because I got caught up at work and went to the building early. I put those tiny articles on the bulletin board right beside the main entrance of the building so that everyone could see them as soon as they walked in. I also placed a Bluetooth speaker in an old milk dairy chute, and it was kind of glued shut, so I pried it open and bought another super cheap $5 speaker, from Five Below, and I put it in there so that I could play some scary noises when we were walking around the apartment. Well, I told my fiance that I would be late, and I showed up around 5:45, when I was just at a local place eating and waiting until they arrived first, hoping that they had a chance to look at the bulletin board. I walked over and I saw them reading it, and she was immediately scared. I asked her what was up, and she pointed and shivered. I told her it's fine. It'll be like having an extra roommate, as I purposely laughed at my own joke. My future brother-in-law slightly punched me in the arm and said, "Not cool." Well, we walked upstairs to the apartment, and she is waiting there for a second, and then she asked if I heard something. Unfortunately, the Bluetooth speaker was very cheap, and one from the outside of the apartment that you could hear, and it said the Bluetooth connected when I got near. Well, I walked near the bathroom with the building manager, who was showing us the apartment, and he was talking about the flyer that I posted, saying, yeah, it happened like 20 years ago in the early 2000s. And he doesn't think anything of it. Most likely, it was just a tenant who looked into the history of the building after hearing one of the ominous noises and wanted to inform others. At this point, my little playlist of more ominous noises had started to play. Started off with some footsteps, some eerie groans and moans, and finally simple wind blowing sound effects, even though the windows are closed. Well, we walked from the apartment after doing our tour, and we stood outside for a moment while my fiance was almost in tears from the horror she had witnessed inside the apartment. Like I said that she cannot handle fear at all. We decided against that apartment and put a security deposit down on the new place that is almost perfect. 20 minutes from my job, 20 minutes from hers, equidistance, and about 30 minutes from both of our families. And in a really nice, safe neighborhood of the Chicago suburbs. Well, we were planning on moving in right after the marriage, but before that, she said that she wanted to get settled and create a home for us, and that she would just start living there next week on the 1st of June once our lease started. Well, she is now saying that she is very scared of being alone in a place that she doesn't want to be, and she doesn't want to be there alone, or decorate there or anything until we're moving in together. She said the apartment had scared her and she wouldn't be moving anywhere alone again. Well, I offered to stay there instead and that I would decorate and we could figure it out slowly. But she said no, and that she would just have her mom move in with her for a month until we got married in July. Am I the jerk for this prank that has essentially left my fiance somewhat scarred? Well, we haven't been together too long, and she told me that she doesn't like scary things, so I might have gone slightly overboard if now she can't spend a single night alone. Or maybe it's just too close to the event and will die down after some time, and she will be comfortable once more. Should I just come clean and tell her that she was being very domineering in choosing the apartment, so I played a prank so that we could make a decision together when she refused to listen to my opinion on the matter? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, so P, you are a major jerk and you are not ready to get married. I understand your frustration when she wouldn't listen to you, but that's a sign that this is not the right relationship. Like, if she is demanding that you move into a place you're not comfortable with, that's
Yeah.
not a partnership.
Yeah.
But also, pranking, quoting and putting prank in like the biggest quotes here, tormenting your fiance so they'll be scared out of moving into a place is not any better and is in fact worse because like you're going behind their back and manipulating them.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say this is a prank as much as it was OP, because a prank is something like you would reveal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like a prank is a momentary deception, right? You always come clean with a prank, and a prank is supposed to be funny. Like if he had done this and they had all laughed it off, that would be one thing. But what he did was lie to her and deceive her
Mm-hmm.
and make her feel like the place was haunted that she had her heart set on, right? And sorry, I have to clean my glasses off for a second here. And I think that is, he's trying to justify it to himself and be like, oh, well, it was just a prank. No, 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 this wasn't a prank. This was him,
Manipulation.
yeah, being manipulative and trying to get her to bend to his will. Instead of having an adult conversation, sitting it down and saying, hey, I'm really not comfortable with this place, and I would rather it be a 2 yes, 1 no type of situation, right? And since he's vetoed it, they wouldn't be living there, right? But I also think that this might point to like bigger incompatibilities in the relationship in general, because like if he can't sit down and talk with her or have a conversation like an adult for just a little while, and this is the start of the relationship, this is already looking bad. This must be like the honeymoon phase where they're getting along and all lovey-dovey and all that kind of stuff. Like, I feel bad for this woman, because I think like this is just going to be the start of a very long and arduous relationship.
Yeah, well, I do not see this going well for either of them if she won't take his feelings into consideration and he resorts to outright manipulation to get what he wants.
Yeah. So, yeah, not good. Not good at all. That's what I have to say on that one. But we'll move on to the next story as soon as I get myself a nice drink here. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Buy quote-unquote stripper shoes for a birthday present? My girlfriend showed me these jelly shoes in the picture, and I think I can actually get to them from here just so that people can actually see the jelly shoes. So you can see the jelly shoes here. They're definitely not what I would consider stripper shoes, personally. And she says that they're super cute and nostalgic and wants a pair for her birthday. But I can't help think that these are stripper shoes. But they can just cut off the heel and make them flat and convince mainstream women to wear them. Meanwhile, they're secretly laughing that they got them to wear stripper shoes. I'm not against strippers in any way, in case you think that. I watched the movie Honora recently, and it was one of the best films that we've seen. I just think that the fashion people are being clever and getting one over her. So I told her that I didn't want to buy them, and I didn't say why. She got upset, but I told her that I would be willing to buy a different pair of shoes for her as a present. I feel like I'm being honest with her and helping her avoid people getting the wrong idea. But part of me wonders if I'm being too old-fashioned. Am I the jerk? Update, after I came home from work, she brought up the shoes again, and we got into a huge argument. I didn't mention this thread because I don't want her to think that I'm one of those terminally online Redditors. I did, however, mention what some of the commenters said, that they're made of the same material as stripper shoes, but they're not the same thing. This doesn't make things better at all, though. I felt bad, and I decided to go buy her the shoes on the condition that she only wears them during the daytime. If worn at night, I don't want strangers to think that I'm paying for it, because I'm not. I think that this may only occur because of the large gap in our physical attractiveness. But now she suddenly says that she doesn't want the jelly shoes at all anymore, even though I'm willing to buy them for her. I don't understand. Case closed. I guess this is just another chapter in our mutual relationship, our maturing relationship. All right, folks, what do you think?
Oh my goodness, OP, those are children's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you not ever seen, I mean, this was big in the 90s. I mean, maybe it's not as big now, but jelly shoes were a thing. And those literally look like kids' shoes. Nobody is going to look at them and think, oh, wow, she's totally a stripper.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this points to OP's self-conscious nature more than anything. Like, he doesn't want her to buy these shoes because he's afraid what people will think of him if she's wearing these shoes. I assure you that there are no people out there looking at shoes and making those kinds of judgments, like, based off of shoes alone, right? And, I mean, this is a very odd situation. I mean, maybe there are some people out there, but I personally, like, I've never looked at someone's shoes and been like, huh, I think they're a stripper. Like, no, I mean, like, why would I even think that, right?
Right. I mean, even when I've been out somewhere at night, I don't even think about, like, I'm not like looking at the people I pass and like wondering what their occupations are.
Yeah. And I mean, I seriously doubt anyone's going to think this of OP. I think that they probably need to go into therapy and kind of work on themselves because, I mean, this is kind of unhealthy that they're like bending their whole life around what other people might think of them,
Yeah,
right?
well, they seem so concerned that because there's an attractiveness gap, as they put it,
Mm
that people are going to assume that he's paying for
hmm.
her.
Mm hmm.
And like, it might be a good idea to work on those insecurities and the lack of self-worth.
Mm hmm. All right, well, let's move
Oh, and
on.
Marcia says those are not stripper shoes. That's just weird.
Yes, I agree. I agree. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Accidentally Outing My Coworker? This is my first ever Reddit post, so please bear with me. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I went to a local store to grab a few things from the house. For the house, rather. As we were using the self checkout, one of the employees, who we'll call Leah, walked over and asked if we wanted to sign up for the store email subscription, among other scripted lines. During this interaction, Leah noticed my wife was wearing one of the company t-shirts, rather. Leah, Leah proceeded to tell us how she just met a guy who works there and went on a date with him just the other day. I, being a curious person that I am, asked who it was and asked who she went on a date with, and it was Luke. Luke and I are friendly to each other at work, and I am aware that he has a girlfriend who is about 6 months pregnant. I haven't spoken to Luke in a few weeks, as our jobs don't always require us to be near each other, but the last time we spoke, he explained some hardship in their relationships. Well, I didn't think much of it because he typically talks highly of his girlfriend. Where I think that I messed up is that I told Leah about Luke having a kid on the way. It wasn't planned, it just kind of came out. I was like, oh, Luke? The one with a kid on the way? And her face dropped. In my split-second thought process, I was thinking to myself, oh, it probably didn't work out with Luke's girlfriend, so he's dating around. It's nice to know that this girl is willing to accept him while knowing that he has a kid on the way. Obviously, she is unaware of his quote-unquote ex and soon-to-be child. So she started asking questions. What department is he in? When did he start? How old is he? She even showed me a picture of him to cross-reference, but the picture didn't include his face. Based on the features that I saw, it looked like it was him. This led to her texting him about how he lied to her and didn't tell her crucial information about himself. The wife and I had a doctor's appointment that we couldn't be late for, so we had to leave abruptly. Well, I couldn't stop thinking about how ridiculous and random this scenario was, so after the doctor's appointment, we went back to the store. Not to buy anything else, just to ask if Leah had an update on the situation, and boy, did she. Well, Luke confessed to her that he had a girlfriend, but there wasn't a pregnancy, which was a total lie. I've literally met his pregnant ex-girlfriend. By this point, I'm just happy to have confirmed that it was him. But then I got worried because she said that he was on his way to her job so that he could explain himself. I didn't want to be recognized and end up being found out as the person who may have compromised Luke's chance with Leah. So my wife and I left. Later in the car, my wife was lightly upset with me for having interfered with my coworker's personal life. I can kind of understand what she was saying, but it's not like I'm the one who lied. Luke lied to Leah. If anything, I helped Leah dodge a bullet. So am I the jerk for outing my coworker's secret to his date? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, first of all, it sounds like you didn't even realize what was going on. But even if you had, he's a cheater, you know? If he wants to try and live a double life, he's going to get found out one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, I think like OP was just being honest and was surprised by the situation. They didn't interfere in anyone's life. And honestly, even if OP had gone out of their way to interfere and tell this woman about the pregnancy, I wouldn't have blamed him still.
Yep.
Because this is important information that should have already been brought up,
Well,
right?
that's it. Leah deserves to know.
So
and his girlfriend deserves to know, too.
Oh, yeah. And I hope that OP does reach out to the girlfriend and explain the situation to her because this seems very suspect. So Yeah, maybe some people would say it's not OP's place, but I think that it's always nice to help people out in situations like this, you know? But let's move on to the next story. All right, folks. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Writing About My Deceased Friend? I'm in a creative writing course right now. In this course, we are expected to write a few short stories. Oh, and Marsha just commented that she's glad that he was honest about the situation. I agree. I agree. I'm in a creative writing course right now. In the course, we are expected to write a few short stories. I decided to write one of those stories about my friend Joe, a 27-year-old male. He's dead, who died last year in an accident. I didn't use his actual name in the story, but otherwise, the character is clearly him. Although Joe came from a conservative family background, he was actually pretty wild. He slept with anyone and everyone. He would try out any illicit substance. He regularly got blackout drunk. He had a temper, and he was an adrenaline junkie. His parents thought that he was their golden boy, and they insulated themselves from who he really was. I didn't sugarcoat his lifestyle in my short story. I tried to tell it as it was. I had intended to publish the story on my blog after the course was over as a tribute to him. I showed it to his sister Alice, a 25-year-old female, and to check to see if she was okay with the contents of it. I had checked beforehand if it was fine for me to write and publish a story about him, and she said that it was, but that she wanted to see it before I published it. Alice was really upset by how explicit it was. She told me that her parents would be even more hurt by the story and asked me not to publish it. According to Alice, the story made Joe look bad, and it isn't how the family would want to be remembering him. I think that it's important to represent Joe as he actually was instead of the fake version of Joe that his family prefers. She told me that I can submit the story for my class assignment, but pleaded with me not to publish it. I am really proud of the story, though, and it means a lot to me since he was my friend. Am I the jerk for wanting to publish this? All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think OP's in the wrong for the wanting, but I think if OP were to publish it, then yes, that would make OP a jerk. I think this is one of those situations where it's fine if OP wants to remember this side of his friend, but he has to remember that his version of his friend is not the only one that exists, and that, only a year has passed. A year may feel like a long time, but, everyone's grief is different, and, 1 year can be so short in that same sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very tricky situation. I understand OP wanting to remember the friend, but I think where this is a public facing thing, like they want say they want to do this as a tribute. But is this really what the friend? I mean, I know this is how OP wants to remember the friend, and OP is talking about honesty. But is this how the friend would want to be remembered, or would the friend is this really honoring their memory, or is this just OP's chance to tell a fun yarn?
Well, and I think that's the biggest problem that I have with this whole situation is that it seems like the friend had a very different presentation to his family than he did to everyone else. And if he wanted his memory preserved to his family in a certain way, I think that it's respectful to allow the family to remember him in a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And certainly OP can remember their friend in a certain way as well.
Right.
And I guess the issue is that if it was if they know that the family isn't going to see this story and isn't going to be able to basically infer who it is from the story, then I don't think that's a bad thing. But since OP is the one publishing this, and if they're publishing it under their name and the family sees this and then sees a lot of pieces that kind of line up with their friend, it doesn't matter if he uses a fake name or not, it's not going to protect the identity. So
yeah.
I think that there are certainly a lot of gray area in this particular case, but I think that OP should really think about their friend and what they would want. And if their friend would totally be like, oh yeah, I want my family to know exactly my life and all my, different, things that I've done and stuff like that, Okay, well, I would think that that's a fair thing to publish. But unless OP doesn't, unless OP knows for sure, right?
Yeah, well, the fact that the friend has been hiding it from the family makes me think that, that wasn't a side that they wanted the family to know.
Mm-hmm. But what does the comments have to say?
So Marcia says, "Who will see the story? Not everyone knows the deceased friend."
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think especially in the context of the college course, like if no one there knows the friend,
Yeah.
then like, it's one thing. But
Yeah, yeah.
if this blog gets a lot of traction, then that's a different situation.
Yeah, well, and not to mention, like, even if they do know him, they probably know him in the
Well, yeah, because it's at
context of, like,
college,
the
so they know
college
the college
experience,
version
right?
of him.
And I think that that's a very different, like, they're going to know who he is, and, like, this is certainly, but again, like, the problem I have is, like, if he hid this from his family and didn't want his family to know about it, I think that that's certainly an important consideration and should be something that OP thinks about before they publish it. And I think the sister is probably right in this particular case. Unless OP can figure out a way of making sure the family won't ever see this or won't ever associate it with him, then they may want to hold off on publishing it.
Yeah.
Or, write a completely different story that uses components of this, and then that way, add more fictional components.
Yeah.
That way there's a piece of the friend that lives on in the story.
Yeah.
But it isn't clearly the friend, right?
Yeah, you can use it as like a launch pad. And that's what a lot of writing is you take little pieces of the world, but you build them into these unique characters. You maybe take some core ideas here, but then mash together all these other things and you get someone who has some resemblance but is not the friend.
Yeah. But let's move on to the next story there. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Will I Be a Jerk? Flatmate wants 10 pounds for the food that I didn't eat. So the flatmate's chicken was eaten, and I've been accused of eating it. She knocked on my door asking about it, and I told her, sorry, I don't know anything about it. Today, I woke up with a note slipped under my door saying that she thinks that I did it, and it was really rude and not nice, and to please send 10 pounds to my account. I didn't eat the chicken. It was so awkward that I'm half willing just to pay the 10 pounds to get it over with. But the other half says that I'll be leaving in 2 days. So I'm 50-50 on whether or not to pay her. Will I be the jerk if I just upped and left and I blocked her? We've barely talked this year and so I've never seen her around, so it's not like I need to maintain this relationship. Edit for anyone who hasn't looked into my old previous post, I don't eat meat, which makes this whole thing even stranger. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. That is just like they know that OP doesn't eat meat, so like obviously OP isn't the culprit. Like this is just such a bizarre situation right there.
Yeah, I mean, OP doesn't eat meat, so it seems very unlikely that OP ate this. But I would also question who else is in the house, and maybe OP can help the roommate point to the right person and say, look, it's very unlikely that I would eat this because I don't eat meat, and I still haven't picked up eating meat, so there's no way that I would eat your chicken. I also understand OP's whole desire just to pay the 10 pounds and move on. Like, I have had situations with bad roommates where I felt like I didn't owe them something, but I kind of just paid anyways. So, I didn't, really, I thought it was just not worth the fuss and just paid the money, right? It's one of those things where sometimes you have to choose your hills to die on. And maybe in this particular case, OP might choose to pay and move on. But, I mean, 10 pounds is just 10 pounds, But I guess we'll give just another second for Marcia if she wants to write, and then we'll move on here. But, so far the Sunny and Other are the 50-50 split, so we'll have to see if that stays that way up over at tea time. All right. So our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk If I Tell My Manager About a New Colleague's Mistake After He asked me not to? Our team hired someone new about 6 weeks ago. We'll call him Ryan. He's friendly, trying hard, and clearly wants to do well. I have no issue with him personally. The problem is that he keeps making mistakes on his part of our shared project. It's nothing huge, things individually, not anything huge individually, but they add up, and some of them create extra work for me because our tasks are connected. Well, about 3 weeks ago, I pointed out one to him directly, just between us. He thanked me and asked me if I could flag those things to him first before going to our manager while he was still finding his feet. I said fine, that seemed reasonable. I flagged 4 things for him since then. He fixes them when I point them out, but the same categories of mistakes keep happening. Last week was one of those errors, and last week one of those errors made it into a client report before I caught it, and I had to stay late and sort it out. Well, I'm at the point where I feel like I'm managing his output on top of my own, and I don't agree with that. I told him last Friday that if it happens again, I was going to have to mention it to our manager because it was affecting my work. He got pretty uncomfortable and said that he just needed more time and that going to the manager would make him look bad during his probation. I understand that. I also stayed late fixing his mistake last week. I haven't said anything to the manager yet, but I am close to it. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, I don't think OP is in the wrong here because this is affecting OP. I understand the new employee not wanting people to know about his mistakes, but it also sounds like he's not doing anything to rectify them and keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. And, that might be a sign that he needs to be retrained, but you can't have someone who keeps doing the same, causing the same issues and slowing everyone down and just cover that for them forever. Like, those mistakes are going to be absorbed by someone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is one of the troubles I have here. Is like, I understand where OP is coming from. I also understand where the coworker is coming from because if I were a new coworker, I wouldn't want my mistakes. I would want to know about my mistakes and try to fix them, right? And be given an opportunity to fix them. And I also understand OP's frustration here because they're trying to help them and they're trying to get them caught up to speed and stuff like that, but they keep seeing the same kind of mistakes, and that can be really frustrating because you're like, well, I already talked to him about this kind of mistake,
Yeah.
right? So what is there to correct at that point in time, right? They're still making the same kind of mistakes here. So I get OP's frustration. I think that OP should talk to the coworker and say, look, if you make more mistakes, then you're going to be the one who is correcting them late at night, not me, right? And that way, if the coworker wants to, have a second chance at this, then they can basically take the time to actually do that. But what do the comments have to say?
So Marsha says OP was nice in helping him, but if he's making so many mistakes, that shows he's not being able to do the job. And Mary's here now.
Welcome, Mary. We're happy to have you with us. I see Sunny has lost its rain. I'm wondering where we're at here. Oh, rainy. So we got sunny, rainy, and other. But no one has picked snowy because I didn't expect anyone to pick snowy. All right, folks. And our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Send a Blurry Doorbell Video to the Neighborhood Chat? I live in a townhouse complex and I have a doorbell camera. 2 days ago, a neighbor came to me because her son's electric scooter was missing. He left it near a basketball court, gone inside to get a water bottle, and then when he came back, the scooter was gone. She asked if we could check my camera as I live nearby. I looked through the footage, and there really was a teenager in a dark hoodie going through with a similar scooter, but his face was barely visible. My neighbor immediately said that it was definitely the boy from the next row with whom her son had problems with for a long time. I said that I couldn't confirm that, as barely anything could be seen from the footage. She asked me to send her a clip so that she could post it in the neighborhood chat. I refused, and I said that I could show the video to the police, but I wouldn't post a blurry video of a minor so the whole complex could try to guess who the kid was. We started arguing, but I standed my ground and I didn't send anything. Later that day, she wrote in the group chat that someone had the footage but refused to help. I replied that the footage exists, but it doesn't identify anyone and I'm not posting it for the neighborhood to investigate and will handle it and give it to the appropriate authorities. She had contacted the police in the end and now says that I ruined her chance to get the scooter back quickly. But if adults have already decided who's at fault, a poor quality video could quickly turn into a witch hunt against an innocent child. Am I the jerk? And before I hand this over to Amber, I also want to say, welcome back from your vacation, Mary, unless you're still on vacation. And I hope you're having a good time on your vacation if you're still on it. But what do you have? What do you think, Amber?
Yeah, no, I don't think Opie's in the wrong here. I mean, I think Opie makes a very good point. This is blurry footage, and people, it sounds like, would just use it to confirm prejudices.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the desire to get the scooter back, but Opie has offered to share it with the police. They're the ones who are trained to respond to these kind of things. I think so, giving it to the proper authorities instead of letting it become a witch hunt, I think is the better course of action.
Yeah, I mean, I would be afraid that everyone's going to kind of make assumptions like OP is. And it can be really hard if you're being accused of something and you didn't do it, but you match like a blurry video to some degree,
well, I
right?
mean, how many kids have like a hoodie?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of kids in the complex that could match that description because it's so, like, it's literally just some teen in a hoodie.
Yeah. So I don't think that's enough evidence, and I do think that OP would be, right to hand it over to the police, and the police couldn't make a proper investigation, but this isn't something that OP needs to actually, pursue or hand over or anything like that. This is evidence, and it still needs to be investigated, right? And I think it's important that OP talk to the police.
And then Marsha says, I agree either way, OP should not to share it and just give it to the cops. And Mary says, yikes, I'm envisioning a neighborhood armed with baseball bats, not the jerk.
Yeah, I mean, that could be bad. Oh, it sounds like we're getting a thunderstorm.
Yeah, it sounded a little bit like that for a little while. I kept thinking I was hearing some grumbles.
Yeah, you probably can't hear it because we have some noise filtering on, but it definitely is grumbling outside.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Following My Dad's House Rules? I'm a 25-year-old male, and I live with my 60-year-old male dad and his wife. Wife is pretty chill, and we don't really talk too much unless we need to. My dad is kind of strict with some rules because under my roof type of attitude, which is fair. Some of these rules, in my opinion, however, are really dumb. One in particular has caused multiple fights, that I'm not allowed to use the stove. I have broken this rule last year on Christmas Day, and it caused a huge fight that led to me getting kicked out of the house for 3 whole days. Fast forward to the present day. I have been using the stove at nighttime when he was asleep to make myself food. I turned it off and I clean up my mess, and he has no idea in the morning when he wakes up. Last night, I was making food on the stove, and he happened to wake up and go into the kitchen and proceeded to yell and berate me for using the stove, saying how I was going to burn down the house and what a huge mess I had made. The stove was off when he came into the kitchen, and the mess was minimal, which I had planned to clean up anyways once I was done. Nothing extreme came of it, like me getting kicked out, but I think that it's extremely dumb not to be able to use the stove in the house that I live in. I pay rent too, by the way, so I'm not freeloading. Am I the jerk for continuing to ignore this rule, or should I be respectful of the rules my dad has in place? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, OP is not in the wrong, but this is a tricky situation, like, I understand wanting to use your own kitchen as a paying tenant. There's nothing wrong with that. But also, I think, I don't know if the dad is open to having some kind of mediated conversation, but I think there need to be deeper conversations here, because just going behind his back, he does find OP cooking. I can see this issue continuing to crop up. So it's a thorny, like, I don't think OP's in the wrong for what they want. I think it's very reasonable as a paying tenant to, even as a child in a household over a certain age, like, obviously not little kids, but teenagers should be able to make their own food. The dad is being ridiculous here, unless OP has a history of almost burning the house down.
Yeah, and I did read through the comments here, and OP doesn't have a history of like almost burning down the house or anything like that. My big thing is that OP is a tenant, and so he needs to take the father needs to take the proper eviction route if he doesn't want OP to live there and wants to try kicking him out on a whim or something like that. OP cannot be kicked out of the house just because he uses the stove, right? And I don't even think like a judge would even agree on that, right? I don't think
Right.
like if they were to take this to small claims court or like some other court for evictions or any other things, I think the judge would be like, no, this is ridiculous. A home you need to have proper accommodations for somebody inside of a home, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean that's why I think it's time to stop sneaking around and to have
Mm-hmm.
some serious conversations.
Yeah.
Because again, like the whole like sneaking around thing, Dad has caught OP doing this, and like it's gonna continue to happen.
Yeah. So I don't think that OP is wrong for wanting to live in their own home.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like unless there was extenuating circumstances where OP was extremely irresponsible and the dad's coming out here and finding the stove on full blast or something like that, and like nobody's out there monitoring it, I would
Mm-hmm.
understand them being like, no, you can't use the stove. You're going to burn the house down. But this sounds more like a him issue and he just doesn't trust anybody to use the stove. So, and I think that's unfair to OP. It probably would be best if OP found a different place to live in
Yeah.
general because I wouldn't want to live in this kind of situation.
No. And Mary says, still on vacation in a book diet, but I realized it was the last Friday of the month.
Oh, very good.
And then time for a sit down with Dad to outline what privileges come with paying rent, not the jerk.
Yeah.
And then Marcia says, how is he expected to eat without a stove? What is the reason for it? Ask Dad if he wants to cook for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a bad situation. I do think a longer conversation is probably warranted here. Speaking of longer conversations, I mean, I guess I haven't done like any of my like segues here. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Involving Myself Financially in My Sister's Relationship? My sister and I have a large age gap, but I love her so much and I've always spoiled her. I buy her expensive things and I bring her with me on luxurious vacations. I helped her clear her student debt, etc. This also means that she is not impressed by money. A guy buys her a brand name bag. She's grateful, but she's not amazed. She can get one anytime. She goes to an expensive restaurant on a date. She's happy, but she can also go to these places for random dinners just because. She's far more impressed by achievements, handmade gifts, things that show a lot of effort and planning, things that can't be bought with money. She was dating a guy for almost 3 years, but recently broke it off. The guy said that he spent so much money on her and that she needs to pay it back, especially her part of a very fancy vacation that he had booked for her that she had obviously now refused to go on. Which I get, she can't quite afford to move out of their really nice apartment on her own. So she asked for help, and I gave her money for her part of the vacation and for her to move out and get a new place. The guy feels like I'm completely overstepping. He thinks that she's leaving him for a dumb reason and actually admitted that because she couldn't afford to move out or pay for her part, he thought that she would be more incentivized to work through their problems instead of just leaving him. And it's none of my business to meddle in their relationship, especially when I don't understand his side. I don't think that I need to. He thinks that I'm enabling her to be immature because she's running away from her problems, and I'm making it too easy for her to leave at the slightest of issues. I feel like I don't need to understand his side. I understand my sister's side, and that's good enough. I don't see why I should help her and artificially create barriers for her leaving a guy. Am I the jerk for involving myself financially in my sister's relationship? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. Red flags are going off. This is red flag central if he's trying to use money to force her to stay into the relationship. Like, that is completely not okay. And I'm really glad she has OP to help get her out so she's not being financially abused.
Yeah. Well, I think financial abuse is a serious form of abuse, and I'm glad that she has somebody who can help her avoid being put into a situation where she might not be happy. Like, this is manipulation pure and simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to manipulate her to stay in the relationship
Mm-hmm.
because he wants her to work through the problems. She doesn't want to work through the problems. She wants to move on. That's on her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether she chooses to stay in the relationship or not is her decision, and OP enabling her to leave is not his the sister's problem and isn't OP's problem, right? Like
Yeah.
OP isn't paying her off and being like, hey, if you leave your boyfriend, I'll give you $10,000 or something like that, right? I would feel different about that situation because that would feel manipulative. That would feel like, oh, he's just doing this because he doesn't like the person, and I would view that as meddling.
Yeah.
Here, I just view her as being like, I'm sick of this relationship. I'm leaving.
Yeah. And so, like, regardless of whether OP giving the sister money in general is spoiling or not, no one deserves to be financially abused.
Well, that shook the house.
Yeah, that was some loud thunder going on. And so, I just think it kind of broke my train of thought for a second. I don't know if I'll get it back.
But yeah, I mean, why don't we see what the comments have to say?
So Mary says, wow, nobody comes out on this one unscathed. Everyone's the jerk, an enabler, a manipulator, and the enabled. And then Marsha says, not the jerk for helping his sister.
I mean, I think that's a nice widespread of opinions on that one, right? I mean, I can understand why Mary would say that, but also I just kind of feel like we only have so much of a glimpse into this situation, and I feel like if he's already trying to resort to manipulating her now, then how much worse will it be in the future, right?
Well, that's the thing, is like, if he's outright admitting that he wants to use money to force her to stay in the relationship, that is making me go, ugh, ugh.
So I understand where Mary's coming from here. I just have a kind of a problem. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I remembered what I was going to. Oh, I just lost it again. It was something. I was like, oh, about the whole, like, her not being impressed by money. I actually think that's a really healthy and good thing. Like, whether the spoiling is good for the sister or not, I think it's better if you're impressed by things like handmade gifts and effort and aren't just being, because it's easy to get stuck in a relationship if you're lured in by money and you don't want to lose that. So I think that's actually like a healthy thing to not be like so fixated on money in a relationship.
Oh, I agree. Speaking of not being fixated on money, I don't think this segue works at all. Speaking of manipulation, I don't know. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk? Date came over to surprise me and I got weirded out. I'm in college and I have exams that I'm studying for. A guy that I've gone on 3 or 4 dates with wanted to hang out and say bye before leaving for 2 weeks to go to Italy with his cousins. I declined, saying that we would see each other when he's back. I don't want any distractions as I'm currently behind in class. I got a call around midnight telling me to come outside because he was there and he wanted to kiss me goodbye and goodnight before leaving. I was kind of weirded out, and I live in my parents' house, so I didn't want them to wake up to a guy in our back door at night. He also lives an hour away, and I didn't invite him in because I had exams early in the morning. Am I the jerk for thinking that this is weird? Edit, what do I tell him? I'm more creeped out after the responses. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think OP's in the wrong. Best case scenario, he's watched one too many rom-coms and thinks this is going to be romantic. But where OP did tell him, like, as long as OP made it clear that, like, I am not able to see you right now, like, I'm busy studying, he needs to learn to respect that.
Well, not to mention, like, waking her up at midnight.
Yeah.
Like, people sometimes need their sleep, especially if they have exams the next day. And so I think it was unfair for him to be like, well, I need my, needs met or something like that. And I should be able to put my needs and desires of saying goodbye to you above your need for sleep and rest and, a distraction-free life here.
Yeah.
I understand where he's coming from in the respect that it would be nice to be able to say goodbye to somebody. Like, if you're going on a 2-week vacation, you're not going to see someone for 2 weeks. That can be hard, right?
Yeah, well, he might have thought he was making it easier for her by showing up at her doorstep. But, again, I think that that's very reasonable to, like, she told him no. And, even if he thinks he's doing this big, grand romantic gesture, the fact that he didn't listen to that no is something that is worth reflecting on.
Yeah. And also, I think, like, had he shown up earlier in the day, like in the afternoon, for just like a quick goodbye, oh, hey, I just wanted to say goodbye real quick, I would have a little less of a problem with it. But showing up at midnight when somebody is sleeping, after they've already said that they don't want to, have something, do that kind of stuff, it's a bit of a situation. But what do the comments have to say?
Mary says, not the jerk. You know what's even more romantic than driving an hour to surprise me? Listening to me when I say it's not a good time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Is like Opie said, it's not a good time. I understand where he's coming from here. I think he made some really poor decisions, and I hope that it's not like a creepy or stalkery or kind of other type of situation, because this could be one of those.
It very well could be. You know, it could be like the love bombing and whatnot, but it could also just be, you know, again, he's watched one too many rom-coms, and that's, you know, how you win the girl is you don't listen to them saying no, and you do some grand gesture.
Yeah. But Marsha's also responded.
Marsha says, wow, she couldn't go down and say goodbye. People should loosen up a little bit. I think you may need to look for a different girl.
You know, they may just be incompatible.
Yeah, I do sense an incompatibility here.
So I don't think that's unfair that they may be very much incompatible with each other. I mean, I understand where Marsha's coming from here, because like you know, for just a minute to say goodbye to somebody after wanting them to leave for 2 weeks. That's kind of what I was saying earlier, where it's like, well, I understand where he's coming from, where he wants to say goodbye to her, but also,
you know, there's her, like if she's sleeping with also her parents,
yeah,
like waking everyone up, you know, I understand OP not wanting to wake up her parents, you know, and have them see this situation going down.
Yeah, and it could be embarrassing too to be like have their whole private life, you know, brought out onto the backdoor Ring camera or whatever, you know. Speaking of kind of creepy, we're really wrapping this episode up with as much creepiness as possible here. How's that sound, folks? Our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for yelling at my partner for being jealous of my brother?" Oops, I accidentally. There we go. Nope, that's not fixed yet. There we go. Can we do this? Okay, we can do this now. Maybe? All right. So my partner and I have been together for a while, and everything is great most of the time. I'm a 20-year-old female, and I was adopted early in my teenage years, after being in the system for a little while. I adore my adopted family. I have a mom and an older brother, and I'm very close to both of them. I've always wanted a family, so this was very good for me. My partner is very sweet and nice, and he treats me very well. But I have been noticing lately that he really doesn't like my brother. I will be hanging out with him, and I will get a weird text about how it's weird that I'm hanging out so much with another guy. I usually just let it go, and I tell him it hurts my feelings. Or I subtly tell him that it's not like that. But today, I couldn't deal with it anymore. I yelled at him about how it's my brother, and that he shouldn't be jealous of that. He was mad, and he said that my brother is not my real brother, and that if he was my real brother, it would be different. That hurt me really deeply, because as someone who's always wanted a family and never had one, I hate being told that what I have is not real or valid. Even if it's true, it's hard to be constantly reminded that my family isn't really my family. I tried to explain that to him, but he didn't understand, and now he is not responding to my messages. Maybe I am not seeing something, maybe this is weird, and I just refuse to acknowledge it. I really don't know if this was wrong for me to do. I do love him, but also I love my family, and they come first no matter what. Am I the jerk for yelling at him? Also, oh, this one's not important, the end part there. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. And I think maybe this relationship has run its course, because it's clear that you two are at impasse. Your family is your family. It doesn't matter if you're not related by blood. They love you as family. And if he's going to be like weird about you hanging out with your brother, it doesn't matter if your brother is blood related or not. He's still your brother. You're hanging out with him like you would hang out with a brother. Like, I do not like this guy's making this creepy, you know, like OP should be able to hang out with her family without this guy being like, why are you hanging out with another guy?
I think that at this point in time, there really isn't much salvaging this relationship. I think they just need to call it quits and say, hey, I think that your view of my family is not compatible with our relationship. And this my brother isn't going anywhere. I'm going to be in a relationship with my brother. He's my family. He's my brother, and that's that, right? And I would say that OP should just kick him to the curb at this point in time
Mm-hmm.
because, I don't think that this is I think there's just massive compatibility issues here, right?
Right. And, just kind of like to speak to the family thing again, because I think it's really important, chosen family is just as valid as blood
Hmm.
family. You don't have to share DNA to love someone
Yeah,
and care about them.
yeah,
And, the fact that he's making your family lesser than because you don't share blood is really gross, and you don't need that energy in your life.
yeah. And they're adopted,
Hmm.
right? So like,
They're
they grew up.
legally
Yeah, they're
family.
legally brother and sister, and also they grew up together. And generally, people who grow up together are not going to have those same kind of like attraction feelings and stuff like that, right? But what do the comments have to say?
So Mary says, not the jerk. I wouldn't want to continue partnering with someone who assumes the very worst. And Marcia says, dump the control freak.
I agree. I agree. We'll read two more stories, folks. First, I'm going to read this one. Then we'll go to tea time, and then we'll be at the end. Our next and speaking of control freaks, no, this doesn't work at all for this story. Today, I messed up by nodding along to a conversation that I couldn't hear, and I accidentally agreed to be a groomsman for a guy that I've met twice. This happened Saturday at my cousin's engagement party. I'm not super close with her fiance. Met him maybe at two family things before this. Party was loud, open bar, and I'm just floating around doing the rounds. His brother comes over and starts chatting. Genuinely, I could not hear half of what he was saying over the music, so I was just doing the nod and smile thing, throwing in, yeah, absolutely, for sure, man, at what felt like the right moments. Thought that we were just doing the whole usual small talk thing. Well, then he claps me on the shoulder and goes, seriously means a lot. He was worried about asking you. I had no idea what I agreed to, but said, come on, of course, because what are you going to do at that point in time? 10 minutes later, my cousin appears, basically vibrating and goes, I'm so happy you're doing it. You're going to look so good up there. Up where? Turns out that the brother had been explaining that one of the groomsmen had just dropped out last minute and they wanted to ask me to fill the spot. I had nodded along, enthusiastically agreed, twice apparently. Wedding is in September, and I've already been added to the groomsmen group chat with 4 strangers. There's a suit fitting next week, which is money that I really wasn't planning on spending. I've been trying to save up for other stuff. I also had to quietly Google the groom's full name when I got home. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I think that OP, just stick with your commitment. You agreed to it. Maybe ask if you can get some help financing the suit if it's an issue. But I think you're gonna be the hero if you step in now. It's gonna be good vibes all around, And so just roll with it. Be the hero in the story.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think that it's a nice thing. I don't think that OP is really going to be super inconvenienced by this whole situation. And I think that it's really nice of them to kind of step in. If they're really tied up for money, then they can probably ask the groom too and be like, "Oh, when I agreed, I forgot that I was having some, financial issues. I was wondering if, somebody be able to like chip in for the suit and stuff like that." So I don't think that this is a problem. I'm glad that OP was able to do this. This is a fun opportunity, right?
Yeah. And then Marcia says this is a good chance to make new friends, and he may meet his dream girl there.
It would be nice. It would be nice. Right?
I see that movie in the making right now.
Yes. His dream woman happens to be the bride.
Oh my goodness, that was not twist of the century.
And Mary says, come on, OP, it might be fun, but not the jerk if the money is a real issue. And it's tea time, so grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. Amber has a joke.
How do you stop a skunk from smelling?
You plug its nose.
Yeah, you hold its nose.
And you hold its nose. So yeah, I guess so. That's like one of the old, jokes in the joke world. I don't know how you say what I'm trying to say. Words have escaped me apparently.
It's a very old joke.
Yes, it's a very old
a classic, shall we say?
Yes, a classic.
But it hasn't necessarily aged like fine wine.
Yes. I do like Marsha's comment here that she kind of got out after the fact was that 70s were more fun. I remember crawling out the window to go to parties across the street because my mom refused to let me hang out unless she could follow me around. I've heard a lot of stories like that.
Yeah, I didn't sneak out as a kid but we would sometimes sneak my friend in for a surprise sleepover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, because Destiny, she lived down the street from us, and her mom could see from their window, and like would be like, "Oh yeah, my mom totally said it's fine," and then she'd see us sneaking her through the window, and be like, next time around, she'd be like, "Are you really like, are her parents really okay with you being there?"
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think every once in a while, kids, of course, will go out of their way to do things like this, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, kids need to be able to enjoy their childhood, right? As long as they're being not overly dangerous or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the time I snuck when I was a kid, I was very, very young. I was probably like, I don't know, 7. Our mom wouldn't let us hang out with this one kid who had a four-wheeler because she was afraid that we would get injured on the four-wheeler, and it was probably like good for her to be protective of this, but I would sneak out anyways and go and use the four-wheeler. And they also didn't like us using like weapons and stuff like that. And there are times when I would like shoot BB guns and stuff like that and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, they were like, you can't do these things, and I'm like, oh well, I'm gonna shoot the BB gun anyways,
Okay,
right?
so the closest I ever came to sneak, I got locked out of my house one time, and I was not sneaking out. So basically, this is a long story. I'm trying to think of how to make it short, but basically, my sister invited a friend over for the night, and this friend was prone to nightmares, and so the friend's mom warned us. Well, our neighbor had like the ambulance come for him, and so my sister was like telling the friend that he was dead, and so the friend started freaking out, and her mom had to come get her. Well, in all this chaos, we had left our window open, and my sister had fallen through the window and broken the screen. So we had no screen in there, and my cat had gotten out in the
Yeah.
night. And so it's like 6 in the morning, and I see my cat like jumping at the window, which is now closed. And so I opened the window, but I can only open it a crack. It's like one of those windows that sticks really badly,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the cat just cannot like get back in. So I go outside to
Hmm.
push the cat through. I get there, cat is already back through. Go to get back in the house, and I'm locked out. So I had to like, I managed to push the window up a little tiny bit more, but I had to like squeeze in through my bedroom window.
Yeah, yeah. I like Mary's comment here. I used to sneak out to TP houses, but last week they made me stop.
Unrelated, but I do have an announcement I have to make.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so Hallowed Deadly Seeds, the sequel to my debut novel, Little White Flowers, comes out next Tuesday. So the
Spelled
30th.
TWO.
Yes. So June 30th. And I am doing a launch party that night, a virtual one, at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah,
And it will be on my YouTube channel. So, which is just like Amber_Hathaway_writes, I think.
yeah, yeah. And I have Earl Grey. So sorry, Mary, you almost got it this time around. Almost. I hope you enjoy that Diet Coke. Speaking of Diet Coke, I don't know that this relates to Diet Coke at all. Oops, that's not the one we're looking for either. Today I messed up by opening my mouth. It's nothing to do with Diet Coke. Spraying Diet Coke into somebody's mouth. Today I messed up by trying to flirt with my gym crush and accidentally making him think that I have a sweating disorder. The Diet Coke comment was maybe even worse than what I was, because I forgot about this one. So there's this guy at my gym, and I've been low-key obsessed with him for months. We do that thing where we pretend not to notice each other, but somehow we always end up using machines near each other. Today, he finally started an actual conversation with me, and I was on the treadmill. Everything was going fine until he smiled and said, "You always smell really good, by the way." This was my moment. A normal girl would say, "Aw, thank you." Maybe even flirt back a little bit. But my brain completely disconnected from reality. Without even thinking, I replied, "Yeah, I sweat a lot, so perfume sticks better." The second the words left my mouth, I knew I needed to leave the country. He just stood there blinking at me like he was trying to decide if I was joking or if I genuinely overshare with strangers for fun. And instead of just shutting up, I got nervous and I added, like, concerning levels sometimes. Why did I keep talking? I started fake laughing because I panicked and I stepped off the treadmill while it was still moving, lost my balance, and almost flew backwards. He grabbed my arm before I completely wiped out and asked if I was okay while trying hard not to laugh. I said, yeah, haha, happens all the time, which honestly made it worse because now I sound both sweaty and unstable. I'm skipping the gym for at least a week out of respect for everyone involved. All right, folks. What do you think?
I mean, I think this one could also be the start of a romantic comedy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, if you posted your thing, Amber, it didn't show up. I think it got cut off. Uh, uh, so, but yeah, I mean, I think like the thing is like, it's a fun story. I enjoyed that one a lot, and I really do hope that OP goes back to the gym and hangs out with that guy, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna try posting while I'm thinking, trying to think and talk at the exact same time, which isn't something that I'm capable of doing apparently. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and try to find your YouTube channel and post it here for people
Yeah,
here.
I tried posting it.
So this is the thing YouTube channel. So let me know if you get that.
Yeah, and the live stream is already scheduled, so you can find it there.
Yeah, and yeah, Marsha, I would be right back at the gym to see the guy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point. So for the next week, this guy will just be waiting at the treadmill. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
OP, you need to go back.
You have to
Have
go
your
back.
rom-com moment.
You have to. You have to. It's for the sake of a good rom-com for everyone here. So, yeah, sometimes YouTube has weird issues with links and stuff like
I
that.
think only certain people can post links. I think since I'm not the one running the channel, I can't.
Yeah. So I posted it for you folks, and hopefully we see you then. It'll be a lot of fun. I'll stand here and ask Amber awkward questions like, "Do you sweat a lot?" And if so, I don't know.
Yes, Brian is the one who's in charge of the questions. So, I mean, feel free to submit any questions you have on the day of. He'll be monitoring the chat. But if you don't have questions, it'll be up to his imagination, and we'll have to see what he comes up with.
Yes, Ali will come up with a lot of good questions, I assure you. None will be about the book, but they'll all be questions for sure. I'll just get a hold of Amber's joke book and just start asking those as questions. But speaking of which, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. We are so happy that you joined us today, and we are hoping to see you next time we have another live stream, which will be, I think, let's see, July 31st. So let me go ahead and update that now so that I can remember in the future. July 31st. Can you believe that? Maybe I'm misreading that. Is that right? Is it really July 31st? Yeah, it's Friday, the July 31st. So we hope to see you then. But thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Amber, for joining us on this beautiful live stream. And I hope you all have a great month and a great weekend and, a happy time all around. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and I guess we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
I'll just sit here and juggle for a second while people file out. I'll make funny faces or something like that, so that when we finally disconnect, people can see my face immortalized as a weird face. Well, we're happy to see you then, Mary. Take care. Bye.